I'm back! Okay, welcome back to the Stringing It Together podcast with me, your host, Becky. If you're new, hello and welcome, and if you're returning, wow, thanks for coming back after such a very long hiatus, which I will get into in a minute. I don't think I've recorded since the end of October, and today is the 2nd of February, so that's a little crazy. So like I said, my name is Becky, and you can find me online as Soprano Knits, so on Instagram and Ravelry, and I'm also a knitwear designer and have some patterns there on Ravelry as well. So yeah, oh man, it's really hard to like even know where to start, but I guess I will kind of start with what's been going on. And why I've been gone, which is, you know, kind of personal to share, but I have shared stuff about my personal life, and I think it's just kind of better to get it out there. So I just really have not been well, I guess, the past few months, and I've been struggling with a lot of really severe depression, for the first time in my life, really dealing with anything that was that extreme. And also there were just some life events that were definitely like fed into that made things really difficult. So there were a few deaths, and my relationship ended in a really sudden and surprising and extraordinarily painful way. And yeah, so it's been, sorry, my cat is hitting the camera stand. Yeah, it's been a really, really tough time. And some of you know that. I shared a little bit over on Instagram just because I don't want to be shy about admitting that I struggle with mental illness. Usually I struggle with anxiety. So struggling with this much depression was a new scary experience for me, and I think for the people closest to me, but it's getting better. I'm going to be okay. I've been in therapy, you know, and it's a long process, as I know that many of you know. Stop scratching the chair. I know that many of you know, as many of you kind of shared in my post on Instagram talking about this, that I really think that at some point in everyone's life, they struggle with some form of mental illness, even if it's just a prolonged state of grief or whatever. And, you know, what I sort of learned from this experience is that something like this can just sort of sweep into your life unannounced as an adult and wreak a lot of havoc. So, yeah, I first of all just want to thank all of you for also being open and honest, and that one post that I made, which if you go to my Instagram it will be obvious which one if you scroll back a bit, was, you know, just really had a beautiful response, and I had every intention of responding to every single person, but the response was just too big. But I read all of them all of the comments, and they all meant a lot to me. And yeah, it's something that I want to keep talking about, and that, you know, I don't think anyone should be ashamed of in any way, in the same way that, you know, if I had been struggling with some sort of, I mean, mental illness does definitely have physical properties. It's not just all in your head, but, you know, if I had broken my leg or something and that's why I hadn't been podcasting, or if I had been dealing with some other sort of physical illness, you know, there would be no qualms about talking about it. So I don't want to hide, even though it's personal. I know that things will get better, they already are, but it's also still a challenge. So going forward, I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to be podcasting, but I want to get back into it because I miss you guys. So here I am. The light looks on the camera like it's surprisingly okay. It's super gray, as it has been almost every day here in Frankfurt, Germany, where I live. Didn't mention that. So that has also not been helping because I usually get, you know, some sort of seasonal depression. So the weather has not been useful. But I'm going to get some sun soon, which I will talk about later. So anyway, part of the reason also that I procrastinated recording was that there's just, in the past few months, there's been so much that I finished that it was really hard to decide like what to talk about. But I'm not going to talk about everything I knit or everything I acquired. Absolutely not. That would be crazy. So I'm just going to focus on some of the bigger things and move forward from there. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is some pattern releases. Maybe I should go get all those things. Okay, so I thought the first thing that I would talk about is some of the patterns that have been released since we last spoke. And again, I know a lot of you have probably seen them on Instagram. I won't go into a lot of depth, but yeah, somehow I've been able to keep up with some amount of designing in the past few months. So let's talk about that. So the first thing that went up was my Solance shawl, which you can see here. It's very huge. This was knit out of Wool Local, which I'm obsessed with. And it's a giant triangular shawl with lots of texture, and I love it. I am really proud of this. So yes, this was released and is available on Ravelry if anyone is interested. Woo. The next thing I released was a hat pattern, which is the Stepping Stones hat, which I designed out of Rowan Cocoon, which is a bulky weight. That is merino and mohair. So it is super warm, super cozy, knits up extremely fast. I knit another one of these for a good friend of mine who lives here as a Christmas present and knit it up in like 1.5 evenings. So super quick knit there. I wear it all the time. So that's that. I feel like weird going down this list, kind of. And then I don't have them with me, I'll put in a picture, the Sterntaler socks, which was a design I released earlier this year, so at the beginning of the year, I believe. And it's a free sock pattern. So I also launched a newsletter while I've been away, and it's still in the very early stages, but if you sign up for the newsletter, you get a free copy of that pattern. And the link to the newsletter will be down below if anyone is interested. I would love for you to sign up. I'm not going to spam you, just little updates every once in a while. You know, stuff about pattern releases, kind of what I'm up to, and I think I'm going to start a separate list for test knitting soon. Anyway. Yeah, so that will be down below. It's also on Ravelry if you go and search for the pattern there. So it's a pretty simple sock pattern. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that if you so choose to knit it. And then what else? Oh, just yesterday, Making Stories released a brand new ebook that I'm also a part of, which is really exciting. So the ebook is called Socks 2018, and my socks that are in there are called the Reason socks. Again, I do not even have those socks. They're still with the ladies in Berlin, but I will pop a couple of their super beautiful pictures up here so that you can see them. Yeah, and actually this weekend through Sunday, you can get the whole collection for 20% off. And there are 7 sock patterns in there, and it costs 19 euros, which I'm not sure what that is. That's the full price without the discount. I'm not sure what that is in dollars. I don't know, probably a little over $20, 22, 23, something like that. So for 7 sock patterns, it's pretty darn good. And they also, in their typical fashion, have articles in there, and interviews in there, and like lots of good stuff. And the patterns are just so beautiful, and I'm definitely going to cast on 1 or 2 of those really soon. So that was really fun to be part of that, and I got to use, hi if you're watching, I don't know, of Oysters and Pearls, her gorgeous new yarn, which I believe is called like her All-American sock base. I should know that. I'll put it here. But it's a blend of Columbia and Targhee wool, and it's just like lofty and delicious and so cozy. Yeah, so that happened, which is really exciting. And then coming up is a new sock pattern that's going to be released, I believe on the 15th of this month. It's currently in test knitting. It's going well. And it is a collaboration with the amazing Maria of Tuscan Knits, which is super exciting because I love her work, I love her yarn. But since it's so hard to get American yarn over here, I hadn't worked with it previously, but so here is the sample, and this yarn is totally amazing, and it is a custom colorway that she dyed just for this collaboration, which is like so exciting. So thank you, Maria, again, if you're watching, I don't know. But these are the Kaluna socks, and the color will have the same name. So what we're going to do is on her shop update on February 15th, you will be able to go and purchase a kit with the yarn and the pattern to make these socks. And yeah, it'll be an exclusive colorway at least for a couple of months, at least for a while. So if you want this, which you should because it's beautiful, go and get your hands on that. Again, we will both, I'm sure, be posting about it on Instagram. But yeah, so the socks include this caliper cable, which I am obsessed with. And then it might be a little bit hard to see on the blocker. So I'm going to take it off. But it also has a little like eyelet spine down the back. So yeah, I really love these socks. I'm super happy with them. And so far it seems like other people are digging them too. So that is pretty sweet. And if you've never done this sort of caliper cable before, in my typical fashion, I have recorded a handy dandy video tutorial for you. So that will be, it's private at the moment just because, again, we're in test knitting, and you know, part of the feedback I get from test knitters and my editor is how clear that is and everything. But yeah, so those will be coming down the pike really soon. Super exciting, the Kaluna socks. So that is it for designs that have been released or are ready to be released. There are a couple of other things in the works that I may touch on a little bit, but yeah. Whew. So now let's move on to selected finished objects. I think I'm really just going to talk about the sweaters that I finished. I finished quite a few pairs of socks, I think, and then some design stuff. It's really crazy to think that far back to 3 months ago. What was I doing? So the big thing is, and I talked about the sweaters, it was on the needles last time, is I finished my piece of silver by Baaaaack. This was in the first Len magazine. And I knit it out of the yarn that's suggested in the pattern, actually, which is La Bien-Aimée Merino Singles, and this is the Peony Graffiti colorway. I forgot it on the last podcast, too. I bought this yarn at EYF, which I shouldn't, I'm just going to say it now in case I forget. EYF. I really thought I wasn't going to be able to go, but I am going for one day, and I'm doing something insane. So the problem is that we have an opera premiere at work that weekend, which is killing me. So we have a final dress rehearsal Thursday night and the performance on Saturday night, or the premiere. So we have Friday in the middle, and we always have that day off in between. So I can't leave on Thursday night because we're going to be in the theater until like 11 o'clock. So I got the earliest flight I possibly could, which isn't that early, sadly, on Friday morning. I'm flying there, and then I think I'm only going to be in Scotland for 18 hours. And the flights were not cheap, so I'm kind of a crazy person. But also, my birthday is that weekend, and it's like kind of a big birthday, and I was like, screw it, I'm going. I think I would just be so sad not to go. I couldn't go to Berlin Knits. I couldn't go to like all these other festivals this year. So screw it, I'm going. So if you will be there, I will be there only on Friday, wandering around like a zombie, and probably not buying any yarn because I spent so much money on the flights, but whatever. I really just want to go and like hug my friends, so, and meet as many of you guys as possible, and so that'll be, it's kind of irresponsible and crazy, but I'm doing it. Anyway, I bought this yarn there last year, and the magazine actually, and it's finished, and I will insert a picture of me wearing it. I couldn't wear two sweaters and I didn't feel like doing a costume change. But this is definitely one of my favorite sweaters I've ever knit. I love this silhouette. I feel like a badass when I'm wearing this. It's like, I don't know, I never thought a turtleneck would be like my power outfit, but I freaking love it. And I finished it just in time to wear it to a Christmas Eve party. And I also sewed a skirt, which I'm sure you'll also see in the picture, which is the Shoddy skirt by Named Clothing? Yes. Super simple jersey skirt. I made mine out of some black French terry. It was extremely easy to whip up. That's also becoming a staple, and the two of them together make me feel powerful. So I love it. I love it. I definitely want to knit more of these, like in a couple different colors, and just, oh, I love it so much. Highly recommend. Great, and then the other one I am wearing. So this is something that like I didn't even have the yarn for last time we spoke. I got, so this is the Solbeam, I don't know how to pronounce it, Solbeam cardigan by Mary Jane Mucklestone. This was in the Lines Making Zine, the Lines version. I'm not sure which number that is, but you know what I'm saying. I'll do a little twirl. So this, I knit it out of Let Lopi, which is what it calls for, and I shamelessly, there were two samples in the magazine, and I used the exact colors as the one that looks like this, because I loved it so much. And I'm very happy. I just finished this yesterday. I steeked it yesterday. Yeah, and I did it. It was a lot of firsts for me. It was my first colorwork sweater. So first yoked sweater, actually. Definitely my first time steeking anything. My first time using Let Lopi, which is very woolly, but that doesn't bother me at all. And the interesting thing about this pattern, when I looked at buying the yarn, I was like, what? Like, you need a surprisingly small amount of yarn. I think it was, I knit the second size because I couldn't quite get the gauge, because I'll talk about that in a second. But you needed 4 50-gram balls of the main color, I think 1 of the white, and 2 of the lighter gray. And I was just thinking, what? Like, how am I going to knit an Aran weight sweater out of 4, 5, 6? So it's, what, 7 balls of yarn, which is only 350 grams. And I was like, what? How is that possible, you know? But I did. And it's possible because it's knit at a fairly large gauge. And I went up a bunch of needle sizes when I was swatching, and I couldn't quite even get as open of a gauge as they wanted. So I knit a size up from what I usually do, and the fit obviously turned out just great because it's supposed to have some ease. It's not supposed to be super fitted. And I love it. And it's really warm, but it's also really lightweight. And I think that that's perfect because if you knit Let Lopi at a super tight gauge, it's like a winter coat. It's really, so this is going to be wearable in that way. I think someone is doing a knit along for this cardigan, but when I started knitting it, there were not very many projects in Ravelry. So I'll show you my innards for my steaks and stuff. So I got some help from Ellie, who is Skander Knits, of course. Hi, Ellie. So I did a crochet, I reinforced with crochet thing. But yeah, I think I'm going to do something, I think I'm going to get some ribbon to sew on top of it, because I want to also be able to wear it open if I want. Because also this is fitting on my shoulders, like it stays, unlike raglan cardigans for me. So that's exciting, but you know, if it flops open, that just looks a little bad. Especially since I used I used the white for the crochet on this side, because I was very close to running out of yarn for the light gray and I got nervous. Let me show you how much I had left. That was it. So I think I made the right choice. But I actually had a pretty good amount left of, like almost a full ball of the main color. So I ordered this yarn on a Black Friday sale from Wollen in Berlin, and La Opie is like really, really inexpensive. So if anyone wants to make the sweater, I mean, like, it was less than 30 euros for all of the yarn, which is crazy for an Aran weight sweater. And I really debated these funky buttons, whether they were too funky, but I made the right choice. I love them. A lot of my friends were like, no, get plainer buttons, you know, let the knitting shine. But I'm just like, I don't know. If I'm gonna make my own clothes, like I don't want them to be super funky. So I finished it, yay. Also, sewing finished object, I'm also wearing that. Also shared it on Instagram. This was also in progress, I think the last time we spoke. I'll take the sweater off for a minute. This is the Molly dress by Sew Over It. I like the finished product. Sew Over It patterns are way too big for me. Way too big. And I mean, I know I'm a skinny mini, but I fit into most like commercial clothes. So it's just a little frustrating that they just don't go small enough, and especially like in the boob region, like I'm just not packing in the way that they want me to be. So I had those issues with the Betty dress that I sewed, and definitely with this. This was an easier fix because I just took it in, and it has some shaping, right? But it's basically a tube, so it really wasn't that hard to adjust. The fabric was super frustrating to work with. It like wouldn't lay flat, it curls even when I iron it, so yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it's really wearable, it's really like cozy jersey, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the finished product. So I could see myself maybe making this dress again, or you can just make it as a shirt. But I would have to adjust the pattern, and I guess what I would do is, because sadly I didn't take note of like exactly how much I took it in, I'll just lay this on top of my pattern piece and sort of trace around it, and then, you know, add for the seam allowances and probably do it that way, I guess. I don't know. I'm so new to sewing still, and I just don't have a lot of knowledge about how to adjust patterns like that. And I guess, you know, like maybe this is unreasonable, but it makes me a little annoyed that I have to do so many adjustments, I guess, because I just like want it to work. Like I'm probably already gonna make mistakes because I'm new to this and user error, so yeah. Anyway, that is finished. And I do have plans to make a shirt, hopefully before next week. So if I can get some work done on it this weekend. I want to make the Aster top, which is I think it's in the seam work line of the Colette patterns. I'll pop a picture in. There are a couple different versions of it, and I really love all the versions, so I could see myself using this pattern again. But I'm going to make the first version, which is short sleeve, button down, V-neck. Like, I just see it as being a very wearable shirt, and I'm going to make it in this chambray that sort of has this little like geometric pattern on it that's kind of faded. And I have some white buttons, so I think that that will be fun. So hopefully I'll have that done for next time. Okay, whips are kind of a weird situation because most of them are design projects that are in various stages, and one of them like is almost finished, but it doesn't really make sense to show it to you for reasons that probably won't make sense if I explain it. I am working on a mitten design, which is a collaboration with Rain, Cloud, and Sage Yarn, which is run by Ruth. Hi, Ruth. Who's also, she's Canadian, but she's another North American living in central Germany. She lives not very far away. And I guess I'll show you this, why not? Because it's gonna kind of happen kind of fast. I have one mitten done, so it's pretty minimalist, as you can see. But I kind of just wanted that. I don't know, I sketched this out and I sent it to her and I was like, is this too boring? I tend to wear these things the most, I think, that have just sort of a minimalist quality. So the thumb clearly isn't done. But what I've decided to do, because this is just a practical thing that I found for me is better, is to add, totally optional, but some options for little buttonholes that will allow you to also use like your phone if you need to. I'm also going to put buttonholes in the thumbs. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I think it's a nice little feature, and especially since it's an otherwise pretty straightforward pattern, that adds a little bit of interest there, hopefully. I have done that on some mittens that I use all the time, and it's just practical for me. I mean, you know, and also like if you want to grab something in your bag, yeah, keep your hands toasty, but you can still get out. So there's one, still working on the other one. This yarn is amazing. It's super woolly and warm and great. And if I can show you, I'll see if this shows up on the back side. Part of what I love about this is it's cream, but there are like little bits of darker, okay, you can kind of see that there, of like darker, just little threads, and it's just like, yeah, it's from a real sheet, you know, like, I love that so much. So very excited about that. This will look more even after it's blocked. I just finished that last night. And she was kind of, I'll show you this too. This is their origin base, which is a woolen spun 3-ply, 100% merino, 200 meters, 200 grams. And this is their other natural color. So yeah, super beautiful. Aww. So that's a whip. And then, oh wait, fell on the ground. This is not even worth showing you. I want to knit the Polworth sweater by Isolde Teague, which is, I've had the yarn for it for almost a year because I bought it at EYF and I want it really badly. This is what I have. I've been busy. And also, if you guys have knit that pattern or looked at it, it has this V, sort of like sweatshirt inspired V in it, which is really beautiful. It's brioche, and just like the instructions for that part look super complicated. So I just haven't like had the brain space to really dive into that. And this doesn't even have needles on it because I needed them for the mittens, so that's life. But yeah, I've had sort of weird knitting mojo lately. Next week, I'm taking myself on a vacation. I am going to Portugal. I'm so excited and a little scared because, especially with just everything going on in my life, it is a little overwhelming, to be honest, to be taking a solo vacation to a country I've never been to before with a language that I don't speak at all. Yeah, and you know, like part of me is just sort of afraid I'm gonna like hide in bed in my Airbnb and not go do things, or that won't really happen, but I don't know. I'm a little overwhelmed. But I also think it's gonna be good. I think maybe in advance I'll really make an itinerary. Luckily, one of my friends from my knitting group here is from Lisbon, so she gave me like a ton of amazing suggestions on things to do. So I'm going for 6 days because it's the Carnival season, and the state in Germany, Rhineland-Pfalz, where Mainz is, where I work, is like crazy about Fastnacht and Fasching and like all this kind of stuff. So like the whole city shuts down and no one works. So that's why I have this random break in my schedule in February. So I'm getting out of Dodge and going somewhere that will hopefully be a little bit warmer and have more sun. I mean, it will be warmer. It's been pretty cold here, and it should be like mid 50s, even 60s during the day sometimes, so that's super exciting. If any of you are randomly like in Lisbon or Porto, oh my god, please let me know. Because that much alone time is kind of also overwhelming, so it'd be great to meet up with some people. But I'm really excited. But that relates to knitting because I'm seriously considering taking a knitting vacation. A vacation from knitting? I think it's just become something that I feel like I need to be doing in all of my free time because I put pressure on myself to finish projects even when they're not designs, but especially when they're designs. So I'm just thinking that that could be a really good, healthy thing for me to do. I think I'll bring some plain knitting, and you know, like if I change my mind while I'm there, then that's fine. But I think maybe I'll just bring a pair of socks. So maybe I'll cast on a pair or whatever. And then I am planning on going to the, I don't know how to say it. Is it the Retrosaria shop or is it Rosanpour shop in Lisbon? Because it looks awesome and they have a lot of their own yarns, and I definitely want to go there and might get a little bit of souvenir yarn. And yeah, so who knows, maybe I'll go there and decide to grab something and cast on. Like for example, one of the Socks 2018 patterns uses their natural sock yarn, so I could definitely see myself doing something like that. But I kind of want to take it easy on the knitting, and I think that that might be good to just sort of like cleanse my palette, maybe get some new ideas for designs because I haven't felt super inspired lately. I'm thinking of just like doing some reading, which I feel like I haven't been doing. Okay, I had to restart because my card was full. But I'm just thinking I want to do some more reading. I think I'm going to take my nice camera, and I'm a little on the fence about that because I really love traveling light. I might not take it with me everywhere all the time, but I think that might be fun because, I don't know, all the pictures I've seen of Lisbon and Porto, it's just so beautiful there, and I think it could be just fun to play around with photography and, you know, spam you guys on Instagram a little bit with that, and maybe I'll get some new design ideas. I have no idea. But I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, it's also a little tough. Just knowing that my contract at my job only goes through July, taking a vacation I think is a little bit stressful. Also because I'd like to go home to the States over the summer if I can. So, you know, I feel a little stressed out about spending money, but I also think that it's important for me to sort of like let some of that stress go and just enjoy myself and indulge a little bit. And it's been such a fucking hard, horrible year. And yeah, it's time to just like rebuild and take care of myself in a way that I have just not been doing for a really long time. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that. So I'm so looking forward to that. So I'll definitely be posting some pictures on Instagram. Sorry, I'm all over the place. If you would be interested in test knitting these mittens, keep your eyes peeled because I'm planning on getting these up super soon so that they can be released while it's still cold outside. But yeah, I think that's basically kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Yeah. I hope it wasn't too crazy. Definitely out of practice with podcasting, but it's good to be back with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and sign up for my newsletter. That would be great. You'll get a free pattern. So again, the link for that will be down below. And if you would like to subscribe and like this video, it's not just for my ego, it's just so that it helps it get out into the world so that more people can find more knitting podcasts and the like. So yeah, shameless plug. Okay, so that is all. I'm really bad at ending podcasts, but I'm sending all of you lots of love and happiness, and go and do something nice for yourself this weekend, and I will see you all back here, I'm sure, the next month or so. So thanks for bearing with me and sticking around. I'll see you guys later. Bye!